Now next we are almost over with the three different you can say the techniques which we can use to separate the two solid components, right. So on the whole we conclude that the solution is formed of solute and the solvent, right. To separate solute we have different techniques, that is the evaporation which causes the dryness, that means the volatile component vaporize leaving behind the component which do not vaporize on heating. And the second one we did is the crystallization, that means we are heating the hot saturated solution to the until the saturation point is achieved, and then we get to, on cooling we get to see the beautifully colored crystals. So if we wish to separate the solvent, because as far as we have done, we have separated the solute from the solvent, but if we wish to separate the solvent, the technique which we use is the basic technique, that is the distillation. Okay, so we are just taking into the consideration the simple distillation, right. So where we use, so before we will be doing that, you should be familiar with the terms which I will be using while explaining the distillation, whether it is simple distillation or it is, you can say refined into the this thing, the fractional distillation. So you should be familiar with the terms which we will be using. So first of all, what do we mean by the distillate? Distillate is that liquid that distills over, that you can say the pass, and the product which is obtained is called as the distillate. What are the miscible liquids? I told you before also, miscible liquids are those which completely dissolve in each other and they just exist in a one phase. Immiscible liquids are that which do not mix completely with each other, like oil and water. If you mix oil and water with that, what you will get to see? You will get to see the different layers, right. So those liquids are called as immiscible liquid. Similarly, how we can separate the solvent from its solution? By the process called the simple distillation, and the liquid that distills over is obviously is going to called as distillate. So this is, see, this is the simple distillation apparatus which is being used. What you get to see, it is a round bottom flask, this is a thermometer attached, this is the condenser, this is the new beaker in which will contain the distillate, this is the burner, the tripod stand. So this is the apparatus which we are going to use in a simple distillation process, right. So what is the basic principle behind the distillation? You have done in the previous classes as well, because we are studying the distillation from the very junior classes. Distillation, we know that when we heat a liquid it boils, and at what temperature it boils is the boiling point, right. So that means the liquid boils and turn into the vapor at its boiling point. Then what happened, that vapors that are formed when they just strike to the walls of the, you can say a container, or if they were made to pass through a condenser, they just condense, and what they form, they again form the liquid. So see, this is the apparatus which I have selected for you, that is the figure that I have selected for you. You can see it is a round bottom flask, and what is it? It is a thermometer. This is a condenser. This is a flask in which we are going to carry this thing, obtain a distillate. This is a burner, this is a stand, and this dash 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 is a wire gauge. Which is kept on the tripod stand, and we can use the heating, so that on that we can keep the round bottom flask or a china dish or whatever we are using for heating, right. So how it is working, see, you can see again it is a condenser. I have told you this is going to collect the distillate, this is a boiling chips. I will be telling you what is the function of the boiling chips, right. Now what we are doing actually, we are just heating the solution, and what happened, we have just contained the seawater, and we know the seawater contains certain minerals, certain salt dissolved in it. You know that the seawater is not a pure water, it is actually a mixture. So what I am doing, I would just wish to obtain a liquid from it, a solvent from it, that is I wish to obtain a water from it. So I am just heating it. What happens, the water vaporize, it formed the vapor, and what is happening next, that the vapor is just rising up in the flask, and then these vapors are just passing through it, and when they are passing they are getting condensed, right, because it is a condenser which contain a water. So next the pure water, these vapors just get the condensed, and the pure water is just filling this beaker, you can see that, and the water which is obtained as a distillate is free from any impurities, it is a distillate, So now what is the function of the boiling, or you can say we will be doing the boiling chips as well. So what is the, where is the way for the water in? So this is the way for the water in the condenser, and this is the way for the water out, because we will be just removing that water again and again so that it can act as a better condenser, because that the cool water is going to condense the vapors, right. So what is the function of the boiling chips? Now coming to the boiling chips, they maintain the even boiling, right. They are just used for the even boiling. See, so where we can use this simple distillation, they can be used, that this simple distillation can be used to obtain water from the salt solution, can be used water from the copper sulfate solution, water from the solution of sugar in ether. So ether from the solution of sugar in ether. So in this way we are just separating the solvent from the solution. Earlier examples which we did, we were separating the solute from the solvent, but here we are separating the solvent from the solution one, leaving behind the solute. So what you have to keep in mind, the liquid that collects here, that is obtained, that distills over, is called as distillate, and the solid which is left, the solute which is left in the flask, is called as residue. So now the question must be striking, because I have told you everything, the boiling chips, seawater, condenser, this distillate, the flask, everything, but I haven't mentioned a use of the thermometer. So what do you think why I have placed the thermometer? So thermometer is just placed because thermometer is recording the temperature. We should know that at what temperature it is going to form the vapor. So just to maintain the even temperature, or just to know the boiling point of the substance, or to know that at what temperature it should be heated, the temperature is actually you can say is the thermometer is actually present for that. So it is mentioned here, you can see it carefully, it is placed so that it records the temperature of the vapor when it enters the condenser. So this is how we separate the mixtures. You can say we can separate a solvent from a mixture, a mixture by the process called simple distillation. Now simple distillation is being refined into a fractional distillation also, but it is used in case of only miscible liquids. You know that the miscible liquids are one which just mix with each other and they appear as one phase. So the fractional distillation is used for the miscible liquids. This should be first point to be kept in mind, that to separate the miscible liquids we have the distillation which is being refined into the fractional distillation, and it is very important process as well. And what is the basic principle? As we know, if the mixture contains many substances in it, so the basic principle behind to separate by the process of fractional distillation is the difference in their boiling points. This is very important. You need to remember this one, that it is used to separate the components which possess different boiling point. For example, we have ethanol and water. So out of it, the one is going to possess the higher boiling point and the other is going to possess the low boiling point. And accordingly, how we will be separating it, just look at the figure. Again, we have a round bottom flask, you can see, and see it is one other tube which contain these glass beads. This is a thermometer, a condenser, and a beaker obviously. So what it has, again it is a condenser, distillate, fractionating column which is containing a glass beads to separate different fraction, different components. The boiling chips, you know that, to maintain the even heating. And again water in, water out for the condenser. So how we are doing, just look at it. So what we are doing, we are heating the liquid, and we know that this flask actually contains the liquids, the mixture of miscible liquids which differ in their boiling points. So when we are heating, what is going to happen? The mixture contains two or more components. So out of them, the one which has the lower boiling point is going to boil first. It is going to form vapor first, right? So what I just want to tell you, that when we are heating, the liquid with the lower boiling point will vaporize more readily, and then these vapors get to pass through these fractionating column, right? And when they pass through this fractionating column, we have used the glass beads in that. The glass beads used in fractionating column is just to increase the surface area. And what is happening when they are just the vapors are passing, they are striking to the glass beads and the inner wall, and when they strike, they are getting condensed. So as more and more vapors are formed, they get to pass, so eventually they pass like this, the lower boiling point one, this thing past the fractionating column first and just followed by the different components. So eventually when the liquid with the lower boiling point reaches at the top, it passes through a condenser and just distills over. So this is how we have used, and you have just noticed a important point, the glass beads. You have to know that what is the use of this glass bead. It is used just to increase the surface area for the condensation, so that there is more you can say the surface to which the particle can collide and just get condensed. And the liquid with lower boiling point distills over first, followed by the liquid with the next higher boiling point. So that means the first component which is going to reach here, the reach condenser, will be the one which has the lower boiling point, followed by the other members, right. So this is so if the liquids in the mixture have same boiling point, so that means the fractionating distillation can't be used, because the basic principle was that the different components have different boiling points. So this is the basic criteria which you have to keep in mind for using the fractional distillation. And if the difference in the boiling point is great, that means this fractional distillation can occur readily. So it can be used to separate nitrogen and oxygen from liquid air. It can use to separate the components of crude oil. This is one of the important application, because after carrying out the fractional distillation of crude oil, we get to obtain many components which we are using in daily routine, and even we can separate the ethanol from fermented liquor. So see, this is a figure which is showing the fractional distillation of the crude oil. So what happens? Crude oil is just entering into it, this heated crude oil, and this fractionating column at different boiling points. We have just got the different components. You can see refinery gases, petrol, naphthalene, kerosene, diesel, residue, and these all are serving a, you can say, a good use of their own selves, and they are being used in a daily life. See, diesel oil is used to run the vehicles, kerosene again is used as a jet fuel. So we have many kinds of things which we are using in a daily routine. So this is actually how the crude oil looks like. So this is the fractional distillation. So you should know the basic criteria to use the distillation. I am talking about the distillation, not the fractional distillation. So when we are using the term distillation, it is used to just separate the solvent from any dissolved impurity. But when I am talking about the fractionating distillation, it means that you need to use those components which differ in their boiling points. So for example, we have just by the fractional distillation of crude oil, we have separated the different components. Now that example was for the miscible liquids, and now if we have a mixture of immiscible liquid, what do you mean by this? Immiscible liquids are those which do not mix with each other thoroughly. We get to see different layers. For example, oil and water, I told you, petrol and water, they don't mix with each other, they are actually immiscible liquids. So when we are talking about immiscible liquid, so how they get separated? They are separated by use of separating funnel. This you can see. So what do we have? We just add the mixture of those two liquids into the separating funnel, and they are just allowed to stand. What happens? The heavier particle forms the lower layer, and the lighter particles or lighter mixture, you can say, the lighter liquid, you can say, remains on the upper layer. So that means we get the two layers. This you can see, this is water and petrol, so you get to see a different layers. Similarly, if you take oil and water, you will, after standing in, when you add into the separating funnel and you just keep it undisturbed, so they will form the different layers, you get to see the two different layers. So what is happening? There is a knob, we are placing a beaker below it. So what will happen? See, again I am telling you, in a separating funnel we are going to add it. What will happen? We will leave undisturbed, they will form the two distinct layers. Then we will be opening this knob, and what is going to happen? The liquid present at the bottom is going to flow into this beaker, right? And then when this layer reaches the knob, we will be just actively closing it, so that the one liquid remains in the funnel and the other collects in the beaker. So this is how we are going to separate, and this is what is written here, that is, we can use this method to separate petrol and water, and likewise engine oil and water. So this is, so when we wish to separate two miscible liquids, we use technique fractionating distillation, and if we wish to separate what we did before is like if we wish to separate the two immiscible liquids, we use the property that is the fractional distillation, and if we wish to separate the mixture of two immiscible liquid, that can be done by use of separating funnel. That is an easy method, just pouring it, making it, leaving it undisturbed, they will form distinct layers. Just put the beaker, open the knob, lower is going to flow first and the upper one is going to stay in the funnel. So the next method is how to separate the liquid components is by the centrifugation, right. So centrifugation has the same principle what a washing machine has or what a mixture grinders have, you can say the same. Like if you are extracting a butter from the cream, how it is going to extract, it is again the same principle working on centrifugation, right. So this is a centrifugation machine, right. You get to see few holes in it, right. So what we do, we take a test tube, we add a solution to it, right, and we just put these test tubes in it. We just cover it with the lid and we just put it in it. We just on the machine, and what happens? It starts rotating at a very high speed. And what as a result we get to see? We get to see that the lighter particles from the upper layer and the heavy particles just settle down. So that means two distinct layers are formed, and this is how they get separated. This I can show you. See, so what do you get to see on board? Centrifugation rotate the containers and the liquids to separate suspended materials with different densities. The centrifuges separate different components like human blood of milk, clarified solution. So this is how we can get to separate the two components differing in their densities. The lower one is going to make the upper, they will going to form the upper layer, and the heavier one is to will be settling down. So what we are doing, we're just adding the solution into the test tube, putting them in the centrifugation tube, machine, closing their lids, then just on that machine, it is going to rotate that speed at very high speed, and the liquid are just going to form different layers according to their densities. So this is how we use the method centrifugation, right. Now, if we wish to separate you can say the components, different components from a single substance. For example, we know ink. Ink is actually a form of different kind of, you can say, the colored components. Like similarly, a dye can be, the word dye can be used for it. So if I wish to separate different components of dye, the method I will be using will be chromatography. Right. So what actually the chromatography means, I am explaining the example here, then we will look at the figures that I have selected for you. Right. So what we are going to do, we will be taking a chromatography paper first of all. Right. So what we will be doing, leaving a few space from the bottom, we will be drawing a line approximately 4 centimeter above, right. Then in the center we will be putting a drop of, say, dye or a ink. Right. What I am going to do next, I am going to place this in a glass jar. I am going to hang this paper in a glass jar which contains the water, and the height of this chromatography paper is so adjusted that the drop of the dye or an ink is just above the water, right. I think you have got it now, right. So what is going to happen? This chromatography paper will absorb the water, and when this water is going to rise through this paper, this dye having various components will get mixed into the water. So as the water rises, their solubility of different components will be different, right. Some will be more soluble, some will be less soluble. Say they are just going to get dissolved, and as the water rises through capillary action, we get to see different spots obtained depending upon their different solubilities in a water. So just look at the board how we did. So chromatography is, first of all you should know, it is used to separate component of mixture which have the different absorptive tendency on a stationary phase, and the mixture is passed over or through a stationary phase. So this, when we just remove it, we get to see a different colors. Like in this, they are separating the pigments. The example which they are taking, they have just separated the pigments, different pigments. So similarly, we can do it for separating the different components of dye or an ink. So on the whole, we have just concluded that we have 3 kinds of mixture: solid liquid, solid solid, and liquid liquid, right. So how techniques, we are just summing up just to make you remember all those methods which we have done, right. So what we have said, if we wish to remove solid from liquid, we use filtration. How we are doing it? By use of filter paper. The one is residue and the other is filtrate. And if the second soluble solute method is the simple distillation, right. So again, residue solid and the distillate is liquid solvent. So if we wish to separate solid, so our first method we are using is the difference in the solubility. You remember, we use a particular kind of solvent. If there is a difference, we use a suitable solvent method. If the solid solution then we obtain, we can carry out the filtration followed by again the residue and the filtrate. Similarly, we can have a crystallization also. See, these are beautifully colored, blue colored crystals. So if there is no difference in the solubility, then the other physical differences like the using magnet we did for iron and sulfur. And if I talk about liquid and liquid, immiscible liquid, and we have two the miscible liquid ones. So miscible liquids we will be doing with the fractional distillation, immiscible we will be doing with the separating funnel, you know that now. So this is how we carry on the purification, and we keep on carrying out the purification if we wish to separate the different components. So just you know, you have to be very tricky in your answers. You just have to choose a method by just using your you can say your senses, that how, yeah, if I give you a salt and water, you should know, yeah, it is a volatile, it is not a volatile. If I give you ammonium chloride and salt, you should be quick in your answer, yeah, ammonium chloride shows sublimation but salt do not. So method will be sublimation. If I give you a component which is a mixture of different components but they differ in their boiling points, so the answer should be very you can say very direct, that yes ma'am, the fractional distillation is going to be used. So you should be very confident in answering the question, but the one thing you have to keep in mind when you are considering the solute and solvent, just go into the properties, just remember those properties, the answer will be direct on your fingertips, right. So just be you can say, so this is my advice to you. So whenever you are going through different processes, just look at the principles, learn the principles carefully, just look what is the basic criteria of choosing that method, and you know, you will be